You're watching Inside Kansas Politics. Welcome in. I'm Denisha Richard. Did you know that people with disabilities in the state of Kansas can legally be paid less than minimum wage? Yes, less than $7.25 per hour. And proposed legislation would give tax credits to businesses who employ these individuals in what is called sheltered workshops. Joining me now is a Kansas mother, Down syndrome advocate, and current Mrs. Kansas, fighting to push for disability rights in the state. Kayla Shadegg, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so you are advocating for a bill 2275, and you and other advocates, you say that the passing of this bill is actually a step back for disability rights in the state of Kansas.
Yeah, so 2275 is a sunset bill. So it was actually originally passed in 2019 under some different circumstances. The tax credit and that passing did not permit sheltered workshops that use what's called a 14C certificate to pay those individuals with disabilities less than minimum wage. They were not permitted to get that tax credit. And when the bill went up for reapproval, when it got reintroduced this year, they added that back in. And so what we're really fighting for is just not to allow those particular sheltered workshops to be able to take advantage of that tax credit, because it's kind of incentivizing that stigmatization of disability.
So when some people hear the word sheltered workshops, they think of sweatshops almost, but that's not the case. These are actual businesses in the state of Kansas.
They are. They're businesses right here in Kansas and in other states around the world. It's legal in lots of different states. There are some states that have done away with it, but not all of them, unfortunately, and we're one of them. And it doesn't have to be all of their employees. It can be what's called an enclave, so just a small group of employees that have disabilities. They have to meet certain criteria. The business does have to file some paperwork and get a certain certificate from the government to be able to do it. But yeah, it's happening right here in Kansas.
And so have you heard anything from any of these individuals who are working within the sheltered workshops? Are they saying things that make you advocate for the bill even more?
You know, it's sheltered workshops in general. If you think about minimum wage, it's a controversial issue, right? And sheltered workshops are the same way. There are people that really, really strongly advocate for them, and there are people who really, really strongly advocate against them. The disability community as a whole, for the most part, says real jobs for real people. We want to be able to do work, and we want to be able to be compensated just like everybody else is, and at bare minimum, that's minimum wage.
And so if this bill were to pass, what could that mean for people with disabilities in the state of Kansas?
So the way that it stands right now, there's a lot of push both here in the state and on a national level to inch away from those sheltered workshop environments, from the sub-minimum wage mindset. It's pushing towards that real jobs for real people. This is kind of like a last-ditch effort, it feels like, to cling on to that and to really inject some new life into those sheltered workshops and into businesses utilizing 14C. And so it feels like, as you know, as somebody who advocates with the disability community and as a disability mom, it feels like an incentivization to those businesses. And my fear would be that not only would businesses continue to operate under that, receiving tax credits, but that other businesses might look at it and say, hey, how can I get on this train? How can I utilize that tax credit? And all I have to do is maybe look into putting someone with a disability on my staff, filing this paperwork, and getting 14C.
And so I also wanted to ask you about Tarwater's comment recently about people who work inside of sheltered workshops. He mentioned that if these did not exist, people with disabilities would basically rot away. And there's some people who are for his statement, and then there are people who are against his statement. I'm assuming you are against.
I am. I would encourage him to look at the organization I work with in particular, that I do some advocacy work for. Down Syndrome Innovations has an incredible employment partnership with the Kansas City Chiefs and Giha and Arrowhead Stadium. They have a whole team of people that goes out every football game that's home at Arrowhead Stadium, and they get to scan tickets, they get to interact with the public, they get to really have the full experience of employment there, and they're paid. They're not under a 14C. So I would love for him to really take a step back and maybe actually interact with the disability community, and not just with the people who are kind of supporting those more sheltered workshop environments, I'd really like for him to get a chance to see what supported, integrative, and competitive employment looks like for people with disabilities, because it does exist, and it can only get better with continued support from the legislation and from Congress and on a state and national level.
And so, as you said earlier, you are a disability mom. You have a daughter. Her name is Carrie, and you have mentioned that Carrie does have Down syndrome.
She does, yes.
And so, with Carrie growing up and getting a job very soon, you want her to earn the wage that she deserves.
Absolutely. You know, we love living in Kansas. We lived on the East Coast for a long time. That's where Kerrigan was born. And we moved back here, back home where we grew up, because we wanted to raise our family here. And the mindset was, this is where I grew up. This is where my roots are. And I wanted to share that with my children. And part of that means that I want Kerrigan to be able to grow up, go through school, get a job, pay for her car. I want her to have those experiences, and I want her to have them here in Kansas. But legislation like this makes it really hard, because what happens in a lot of cases is that students grow up, when they age out of that public school system, their parents are getting told, these sheltered workshops are the only place that your kid can go. No one else will take them. And that's not true. But if you're not as experienced, if you don't have an incredible support network like we've had, you might not know the difference. And so I want to make sure that not only am I leaving Kansas a better state for Kerrigan, but for other kids who are following behind her.
All right, you just heard from Mrs. Kansas 2023, Kayla Shadegg. Kayla, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
We'll be right back. You're watching Inside Kansas Politics.
Need help posting a bond? 75 Bail Bonds has experience with the courts and knows how to work to your benefit. We offer fast, affordable, and convenient service. Call 75 Bail Bonds, your 24-hour bond service.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. I started by using the world's best cotton called Giza. It's only grown in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River. It's ultra soft and breathable, but extremely durable. I guarantee you they'll be the most comfortable sheets you'll ever own.
I do not like my sheets. I love my Giza Dream sheets.
Call or go to MyPillow.com right now to take advantage of Mike's limited time offer. Use the promo code on the screen, and when you buy one set of Giza Dream Sheets, Mike will send you another set absolutely free. That's right, buy one set of Giza Dream Sheets and get another set absolutely free. Choose from a variety of colors in solid, stripes, and new flannel sheets. Order now.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Mouth-watering, enticing, satisfying. Taco Villa. Since 1973, Taco Villa has been serving up their own style of delectable Mexican food. From the thing, to the nacho platter, to the low-carb salad, and everything in between. Taco Villa satisfies. Take it to the next level and smother anything in our famous signature chili con queso. Get your fix. Dine in, carry out, or call ahead with your order. Taco Villa on 21st next to the toy store.
Need help posting a bond? 75 Bail Bonds has experience with the courts and knows how to work to your benefit. We offer fast, affordable, and convenient service. Call 75 Bail Bonds, your 24-hour bond service.
Welcome back to Inside Kansas Politics. I'm Denisha Richard. Taxes. It is a hot topic on the Kansas legislature right now, with several bills passing in the Senate just last week. And now they await to be passed in the Kansas House. But what could these bills actually mean for Kansans? Joining me now is a panel of experts who will give their thoughts on how these bills could change the way Kansans are taxed. Today we have Democratic Senator Ethan Corson joining us today and economic expert Donna Ginther. Thank you for joining me, guys. So we have the smiley faces here. We'll have them model our smiley and sad faces. These here are the faces of Kansans, or just symbolic of it. Each panelist will hold up their smiley or their sad face to describe exactly or what they believe, how they believe that tax policy will affect Kansans. So we're going to start with the first bill. The first bill that we're going to talk about today, SB 248. Now we know those numbers can be confusing, but what it is, it originally proposed as a GOP food tax elimination for healthy foods only. It was later amended to, quote, all foods and ingredients. It passed 22-16 in the Senate, and if implemented, it will be effective January 1st, 2024. Okay, guys, I want to see your happy faces and your sad faces on how you think this would affect Kansans. So, Donna, is it a sad face or a happy face for you? Let's put whichever one you think. Let's put it. There we go. Sad?
It's both.
Both for you?
Both for me.
And why is that?
Well, on the one hand, taxing food is regressive and it hurts the lowest income Kansans. So eliminating the food sales tax for everybody is a good thing and will help with improving food security among all Kansans. But on the other hand, and this is why I'm sad, is that local governments use the food sales tax and sales taxes to lower property taxes, which are an issue as well. And so the unintended consequence of eliminating all food sales tax would be that property taxes would likely have to increase at the local level.
Right. That's one of the arguments from some Kansans who say, where is the money going to come from? It's going to have to come out of somewhere. We're going to have to pay somehow, some way. So you think it may come out of another pot somewhere?
Exactly. It will increase if this bill passes and eliminates the local portion of the food sales tax, property taxes will increase.
Senator Corson, happy face or sad face for you?
I am somewhere in between on these, and let me tell you why. For a lot of the same reasons that the professor mentioned, because I'm worried about what this will do to locals. I'm worried about the impact of that. To give you a sense of where this money comes from, my city's Overland Park would lose $6 million if we exempted the local portion of the food sales tax. Roland Park would lose $2.14 million. Prairie Village, $713,000. All of that is going to have to be made up somehow, and probably by increases in property taxes. That said, the reason that I was somewhat happy is I do want to see the state portion of the grocery sales tax eliminated as soon as possible. So I'm glad that we're getting close to that relief, but I'm really worried about the local impact, because one of the things we do in the legislature is we always bemoan property taxes. But then we pass legislation like this where the only natural result of it is to increase property taxes. So what I would like to see the House do is I would like to see them take out that local portion, and let's just go back to eliminating the grocery sales tax at the state level, and I think that would be really positive for Kansans.
Okay, all right, so let's go on to the next bill here. Everyone's talking about it right now. You have probably already heard of it. SB 169, the flat tax rate of 4.75 for state income tax. Of course, single filers making less than $5,225, they would be exempt. It did pass in the Senate 22-17. Donna, let's start with you. Are Kansans happy or sad about that? Do you
Kansans should be sad about this.
Okay.
Because the benefit accrues to the very top earners. So almost all of the benefit is at the highest income bracket. 43% of the benefit from this tax cut goes to the people in the top Kansas adjusted gross income bracket. So they're getting a $5,000 tax cut, whereas lower income, people making around $30,000 to $60,000 a year are getting about a $42 tax cut.
And Senator Corson, what are your thoughts on it? Would it make Kansans happy? Is it good for Kansans in the long run, or bad for Kansans in the long run? Let's see that face.
Well, this is a sad face for me for sure, and here's why. Again, echo some of those same reasons. I really worry about the fiscal impact that this is going to have. This is going to drain our revenues by over $570 million per year. And so where does that money, those cuts come from? Do we start cutting the highway fund again? Do we start cutting public education again? Do we start going back into our rainy day fund? Do we stop making payments to retirees who are on capers? I just simply don't know where those cuts come from, so I worry about it. This is exactly what we did under Governor Brownback. We had massive tax decreases, mostly for high earners, and we had no plan to control spending. And that's exactly where we find ourselves again under this bill. The S&P just yesterday finally upgraded Kansas's ratings, but they said that they would downgrade us again almost as soon as possible if we went back into this spiral of large tax cuts, mostly for wealthy people, without a plan to pay for them. So I really worry about this. And I hear some folks say, well, this will be great. This will attract people to stay in Kansas or move to Kansas. I just don't think that holds water. I think people are going to want to come to Kansas and stay in Kansas because they have a good job with a good salary, because we've got really great public schools, because we have welcoming communities, because it's a great place to raise a family. I don't think people are going to be persuaded to stay or move to Kansas because of a couple $100 in income tax cuts. And again, the big benefits are all going to go to the millionaires.
And also, some of the proponents say that it could also simplify income tax returns. Do either of you agree with that?
Well, it can simplify the tax returns, but it would also eliminate, our ability to fund opportunities for growth in Kansas, like the Panasonic plant, for example. If we cut taxes in this way, our opportunity to attract the new manufacturing that will be coming back to the United States will go away.
Okay, and we're going to talk about the next bill, SB 96. It has been linked to the abortion debate, and it will provide a tax credit to pregnancy centers. Now, this was passed in the Senate 28-11. How do you guys feel about that? Donna, is it good for Kansans or bad for Kansans? Let's see that smiley face. Bad.
Well, I don't know how you identify these pregnancy centers, and why are we singling them out to get this tax benefit, especially after the vote this summer.
Okay. Senator Corson?
I'm also a sad face on this, because I think that it's really questionable that this is the best use of what would be taxpayer dollars. These are monies that would normally go to our public schools, our highway fund, to public safety, to our rainy day fund, to our pension. And so I'm just not persuaded that these centers are the best place for what would be tax revenues for the state of Kansas. These centers are completely unregulated. They don't have to follow any of the normal regulations around privacy, around quality of care, around providing medically accurate information. They're not required to provide comprehensive health care services. There's no guarantee that any Kansan will actually get health care services because of these tax credits. This could all just go to advertising and billboards along a highway. I mean, these are really completely unregulated centers, and so I just don't think they're deserving of Kansas taxpayer dollars.
Okay, well, we're going to talk about several other bills that are being passed, that have passed, and that will be discussed in the House. That's coming up next. You're watching Inside Kansas Politics. We'll be right back.
Vanderbilt's has one of the largest selections of boots and jeans in the area. Hot price on Ariat Rebar work jeans, $52.99. Check out the Ariat Treadfast boot. Hot price, $104.99. Keen Flint 2 lightweight hikers starting at $124.99. Your choice, soft toe or safety toe on Carolina neoprene boots, $89.99.
Work Boot Center, Vanderbilt.
Kansas Association of Broadcasters Best Prime Newscast, 2 years in a row. 27 News, working for you.
This week's Pets in Need Spotlight is Rolo. Rolo is a 4-year-old Terrier Shepherd mix. She is currently in foster care. Interested parties can work with an adoption counselor to schedule a time for a visit. Give Helping Hands a call today.
A tradition for more than 40 years, 27 KSNT presents the Topeka St. Patrick's Day Parade, March 18th in downtown Topeka. Put a bit of Irish in your day and come enjoy the fun, music, dancing and more. It's time to get your green on and join us March 18th.
Higgins!
Magnum, I need a favor.
What I gotta do? Get right on it.
Drop it.
Sundays at 11 on 27 KSNT.
Movies are dreams that you never forget.
This is larger than any of us.
Welcome back to Inside Kansas Politics. We are continuing our conversation on the tax bills that are heating up the Kansas legislature. Again, we have two experts here joining us today to talk more about how they feel the bills will affect Kansans in the long run. So let's talk about the next bill. We have SB 83. That is another hot topic that a lot of Kansans are talking about. School choice. So it originally increases student eligibility in the low income tax student scholarship program and increases tax credits for contributions to the program. Now the original bill stated that the student would be eligible if they had a family income at or below 250% of federal poverty guidelines. Now that was later amended to instead include 400% of federal poverty guidelines. That is among other changes, and it passed 22 to 16. School choice, it is a big debate happening right now. Donna, do you think it's good or bad for Kansans in the long run? Let's see that smiley or sad face very fast. Okay, yes. Donna, why do you say that?
So we have fought, I've lived in Kansas for 20 years, and we have been constantly fighting over funding public schools. And this is going to take money away from our public schools at a time where we have decreasing numbers of children enrolled. So we're just going to take more money away from those public schools and ultimately provide a worse product, a worse education for the children who are in public schools. So I think that we need to think more carefully about funding special education and using that money to fully fund special education and continue to fully fund our public schools, as opposed to letting so many kids opt out of the public school system.
Okay, Senator Corson, what do you think?
You know, I'm also a sad face on this one because I'm really worried about, again, what this does to public education in the long term. This is a program that was originally started to address low-income children and low-income and at-risk children. We've now expanded it to 400% of the poverty threshold. We've now dramatically expanded eligibility in other ways. So at this point, what we're really doing is just subsidizing private schools. And I think we should be honest that that's really what this policy does. You know, we have 200,000 students who are low-income students. This program only gave out 1,300 scholarships last year, so there's no need for this real dramatic increase in eligibility other than to just siphon money that would go to public schools into our private school system. And there is no efficacy for these programs. There's no accountability. We don't know if the current students who are receiving these scholarships are performing well or not, and yet we're expanding the program. So I'm just not a supporter of this. My constituents have been really clear with me that they want to see public money going to public education.
Okay, so let's talk about the next bill, SB 33, exempting Social Security benefits from income tax, or from what I'm hearing, all tax. We'll talk about that in just 1 second. It passed 36-3. That seems like a vote that is closest to really a unanimous vote. But Senator Corson, you said there were some changes with that bill. So what does it now include?
Yeah, so I'm somewhere in the middle on this bill now because I really do want to reduce Social Security taxes on our seniors, especially the ones who need them most. But what we did is we amended it now, so the bill now includes all retirement income, so IRAs, 401ks, things of that nature. And that comes with a massive fiscal note. Now we're talking between $270 and $350 million per year if we include those additional forms of retirement income. I think that what we need to do is get closer to what we originally passed out of the Senate Tax Committee, which again was just Social Security income. I think that is even at the very outer reaches of where we're able to get, especially if we do something risky like a flat tax. But I think we do need to look at what we can do for our fixed income seniors. But this bill, as it currently stands, is too unwieldy and frankly just too expensive.
Okay, Donna, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm the dismal economist again. I think that, right now, senior citizens making $75,000 or less, their Social Security income isn't taxed. It's when they make $75,001 that they start to pay income tax on half of their Social Security. So as a result, I think flattening out that cliff and gradually increasing taxes makes sense, because $75,000 a year in Kansas is well above our median income for a Kansas household. So these are not low-income households to begin with. Second, the exempting all retirement income is just too costly for the state. If you add up this cost through fiscal year 26, it's $1.1 billion, and this is something that the state can't afford. We'll lose that S&P rating that we worked so hard to get back.
All right, well, you guys both had great opinions on all of the bills that we will definitely be keeping an eye on. They will be either passed or not passed coming up here in the House on the Kansas legislature, and we will be keeping an eye on that. You're watching Inside Kansas Politics. We'll be right back.
Normal. We're all trying to get back to it together. But what if there were a new normal? One where everyone recognized how much we need everyone else and how much we need everyone to be healthy. At Grace Med, that's our hope. That's why we provide a medical home in 16 locations with a wide range of healthcare services for everyone, regardless of their ability to pay. It's also why we deliver care when and where it's needed most. Because we're Grace Med, the home of hope care for everyone.
27 News leads with over 29 hours of original local programming per week. Hours more than our competitor, including shows like K-Nation and Inside Kansas Politics. More news, more weather, more sports. 27 News, working for you.
Parents who are obsessed with social media.
She bullies people online, and then she says that she's defending herself.
You're way over invested in this. You just told me I'll argue with a machine. New Dr. Phil.
Monday at 3 on 27 KSNT.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm excited to announce my original My Slippers are back in stock. You've made them a huge success, and now I've added smaller sizes, larger sizes, wide sizes, and all new colors. And with your promo code, you still save $90 a pair. Not only that, I'm having the biggest closeout sale ever on our sandals and slides for as low as $19.98. What makes my slippers different is my exclusive 4-layer design that you're not going to find in any other slippers. My slippers' patented layers make them ultra comfortable, extremely durable, and they help reduce stress on your feet. Wear them anytime, anywhere. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen now. Use your promo code to save $90 on my original My Slippers, or for as low as $19.98, you can get our sandals or slides. Quantities won't last long, and with my 60-day money-back guarantee, you can rest assured they'll be the most comfortable footwear you'll ever own.
And that was your look inside Kansas politics. If you want to keep up to date on all things Kansas politics, follow us on social media. You can follow us on Twitter at @InKansasPolitics. We'll also post the full video on YouTube. Just search KSNT News and check ksnt.com/inside-kansas-politics for any past episodes. Of course, if you have a story you want Kansas state legislators to know, let us know. We'll hear you and see you here, same time, same place. We'll see you next week.